solve the differential equation y prime is equal to 2y over x. Okay. So it looks separable. We should probably figure out what our functions in x and y are. So the derivative, y prime, but I'm going to write it as dy by dx, is 2y over x. Now if I bring the x's over to one side, or if I keep the x's on the one side, we'll have a 1 over x. And I suppose our function in y is 2y. So there we've separated things. Now we can divide by 2y on both sides. And bring the dx up here. And there we go. Now everything's split up. We've got the y's on one side, the x's on the other side. And these are just asking for an integral symbol. Okay. We could take out the 1/2 here. And then, do we know how to integrate 1 over x? Absolutely we do. So you get 1/2 ln absolute value of y, and then ln absolute value of x here as well. Okay, now what do we need to do? Well, we'd like to try and isolate for y, so I'm going to multiply by 2 on both sides, get rid of the 1/2. So we get 2 ln of x. Now it could be plus 2c, but typically in math, if we've got the just an unknown constant, I mean, c is what? C is a constant. That's all you can say about it. 2c is also a constant. So there's nothing really new to say. So we typically let the c absorb our constants. Okay. You know, if you're upset by that, leave it as 2c. You're not going to lose marks or gain marks. Okay? As long as your constants are where they're supposed to be, you're fine. All right. What else do we do now? Well, we want to get at y. So we can see the absolute value of y is ln the absolute value of y. So I suppose we should raise everything to the power e. Okay. So that gives us the absolute value of y. And is there anything else we can do? Well, I suppose we could split this up using various rules of exponentiation. And now e to the ln x, well, e and ln cancel each other out, so we'll have absolute value of x squared. And then e is just a constant raised to the power of another constant. Well, you can just absorb that into the c, so we get another constant here. And absolute value of x squared is just x squared, because x squared is always positive, and absolute value of x, that doesn't really matter there. So what we can say is the absolute value of y is c times x squared. That's a pretty good relationship. I'd probably leave it like that, personally. Now, if you're looking at multiple choice answers and you don't see this exactly, you see something like y is equal to cx squared, you could easily go with that. Okay? Because remember, sometimes it matters if we've got absolute values with our lns. Not always. Okay? Not always for questions. So sometimes we can relax that a little bit. Okay? Especially because, well, what would y need to be for its absolute value to be cx squared? Well, you could say something like, well, c is going to have to be positive in order to match up with the y. But y here is either going to be plus or minus cx squared, because then the absolute value gets rid of it. And the plus or minus can kind of absorb with the c. So this is an acceptable answer as well. Okay? They're both good. Or if you're not interested in solving for y explicitly, a relationship like this works just as well.